So we've let me see. We've had kind of some fits and starts, right? Adam and Eve started out well, then it went down, right? And then we saw it kind of play out in Cain and Abel. Then eventually Cain starts his whole family, his whole bloodline is not good, right? And then finally gets to the point it gets so bad that God sends a flood, right? And saves one person, one family, right? One family out of it, Noah and his family, and that's it. And again, he's starting over. It's a reset. And so he renews the covenant he he renews the covenant with Noah that he made with Adam, and we commented on that, right? That even though man is now not the same as he was at the beginning, he is now fallen, whatever that means, right? He sin is now in the world, death is now in the world, corruption, and we keep seeing it over and over again that the majority of people just are not doing well. They've got an evil streak in them, but yet God does not rescind. He gives the same covenant to Noah with the additional covenant of human government, right? Now they can eat meat, but without the blood in it. But we see this theme where God is it's like he's basically he is committed to his original plan, which is that mankind is going to be his co-regent over his creation. That was the goal, and he's not resenting on it. And we talked about this before. You can almost look at the Bible like a lot of different ways. It's like a diamond. You can see. So one of the ways you see that it's like God is constantly giving power and authority to all of his human subjects, right? All of his human servants, his human people, children, and hoping they do well with you might say. Of course, he knows that obviously God's plan is that it's all headed to Jesus. It's all headed to there. That this train does not get fixed, does not get put back on its true path until Jesus comes, right? But anyway, he's actually starting that path now because now the same thing happened. Noah, he comes out of the ark and he does well. But then we kind of have an episode where he gets drunk. And then whatever happened between him and his son Ham, and the fact that Canaan was one, his grandson was cursed, and we kind of talked about what that very well could have been, and not good. And then we had the table of nations, where now, in other words, God was explaining where all the peoples went, right? Where all so now all of us, everyone on this planet Earth, is comes from one of the three sons of Noah, right? And so we get to chapter 11 and we have the same thing, right? It gets worse and worse, right? Chapter 6 was how bad it got in before the flood. Now after the flood, we're at the Tower of Babel. They're all going to come together. They're going to build this big ziggurat, and they are literally going to try to bring the gods down, if you will, where they can it's paganism at its core. That's what paganism really is. It's manipulating the god, right? If you do the rituals exactly right, that's how you manipulate. That's where you get your numbers, your symbols, right? And have all these pentagram and all this kind of stuff. And ironically, the god did come down. But he got, right? He said, this is not going to happen. And he dispersed them by confusing their languages, right? But as is God's want, he just refuses to quit, which is so awesome. He never gives up on us. I think by now we would have just said, you know what, we're done. We're done. We're going to go we're going to use angels. That's an interesting. He could have, I mean, obviously he'd say, no, I couldn't, Jim. But I'm just saying, theoretically, he could use someone or something that's better, but no, mankind, us. He's committed to us, which I just find fascinating. And so we had lots of genealogy. Remember, the genealogies are what kind of, they're the bridges that get us to the next. And we had the genealogy of Shem because Abram's genealogy runs through Shem, right? And we eventually got to Terah, right? So if you look at the very last verses in um, chapter 11 and 31, in chapter 11, verse 31, it says, Terah, that would be Abram's father, took Abram his son, and Lot, the son of Haran, his grandson, and Sarai, his daughter in law, his son, Abram's wife. And they went forth together from Ur of the Chaldeans to go into the land of Canaan. So this implies, and I think this would be confirmed if you read Acts chapter 7 with Stephen's story, is that by the time we get to chapter 12, Abram had already heard from this God, Yahweh. I want you to come out. And it seems, and this is what's odd, right? Because they're headed to the land of Canaan. And oh, by the way, Dad's going with them. And right, Lot and the whole family, which from all understanding they weren't supposed to. But when they came to Haran, they settled there. So for some reason the Bible does not tell us, actually biblical traditions do, they stopped there. And it's almost as if Abram has to wait till Dad dies so that then he can then move on, right? So the days of Terah were 205 years, and Terah died in Haran.
And that's remarkably a short lifespan.
Yeah.
205
Yeah.
years.
Yeah. We noted the lifespans were getting shorter and shorter. Now, I mean, I guess it's all relative, right? Because that's pretty old. But compared to what we were reading, it's not.
Yeah, no.
Right?
Well, like you said, he had to wait till Dad died.
Okay.
Before he could move on, and God did not allow Terah to live a horrifically long time.
Now the Lord said to Abram. Now we're chapter 12. Sorry, Genesis chapter 12. Now the Lord said to Abram, or if you read the NIV, it'll say, and maybe Jim has it, the Lord had said to Abram. Oh, gotcha.
ESV?
Gotcha.
You have ESV now?
Whatever it is.
Yeah, okay.
The Lord had said.
Yeah, now the Lord had said, and so, but because I think because you kind of get the inference, at least from up top here, where they were all headed to the land of Canaan. Why would they all be going to the land of Canaan? And if you look at their travels, right, it's like they're way over here. So for you guys, and I'll go here. I can't put the map up, right? They're over here in the eastern part, in the Mesopotamia down and they go all the way up. And I think Haran is way up high here. They had to come all the way back down the other side. They travel a long ways. And and Beersheba's down at the lower end, kind of down, and Bethel and the rest. But anyway, now the Lord said to Abram, go from your country and your kindred and your father's house to the land that I will show you. And I will make of you a great nation, and I will bless you and make your name great, so that you will be a blessing. Verse 3, I will bless those who bless you, and him who dishonors you I will curse. And in you all the families of the earth shall be blessed. What do y'all think? What do you think about Abram's faith? Or what God is offering? Or why would God offer this to him? Or anything? What do you think about Abram's faith? Do you think you know where he was going? Didn't say that, huh? Go to the land that I will show you. Yeah. Yeah.
And he was willing to do what God told him.
Yeah. And it's usually always posited that it's an unconditional. In other words, Abram doesn't do anything, God makes all the promises. But Abram did have to do something, didn't he?
He had to go.
He had to go.
Yeah.
So his job was to be loyal and trust God. God says, I will do this. That's how kind of covenants work. You do this, I do this. Okay? But Abram's definitely got some skin in the game.
Oh, yeah.
What do you think some of that skin would be? And imagine you yourself have been one doing that.
He had to leave a place where he was comfortable, I guess.
Yeah.
Because we are comfortable in our hometown.
Yeah.
And he had to leave and go to a place. He didn't even know where he was actually going.
Yeah.
Okay, God, I'll do what you said.
But it also says that he would make into a great nation. And back then they were very following that name down.
Yeah. Yeah.
Remembering.
Yeah. So his identity would be tied in with his family and his people, much more than us. We're more individualistic. But for them, it was your tribe you belonged to, your family, your hair. It was everything to them, along with the gods that were associated with that. So you left that, your inheritance, the land that you had. Remember, you try to put yourself in their shoes. I mean, the land was everything for them because that is how you grew stuff, you ate. Everything was tied to where you lived, your security, your identity, everything. So God's telling him, that's what I want you to leave all that. What I want you to do. You got to let all of that go. And right, Lisa, I'll give you this, this, right? But you got to trust me on that, right? Which is what's remarkable to me, because then it makes you think, okay, why does Abram do it? What is it about this God, our God? Because remember, Abram came from a place where polytheism was the order of the day. We know that, right? And you can see it in Judges, even still. I'm sorry, Joshua, you could see where, remember, Joshua says, you serve whatever God you want. They said that, so he calls them out from there. So they had a bunch of different gods. And I guess around this time, if we see Abram is around the 2000 BC, this was just about the time when Mesopotamia started to talk about personal gods, where you have a personal God. And you didn't choose this God, you kind of inherited it. But a certain God that you felt was taking care of you, that would help you. And it may not be, it could be the bigger God in the block, but a lot of it was a smaller God. And he would be like maybe your family God. Only Israel was the only one with a personal God. Notice what God refers to himself as. I am the God of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, a personal people. But eventually he becomes the God of a nation. That was unheard of. But in any case, they have all these gods. And so what is it about this God where Abram's like, you see what I'm saying? Like yeah. Obviously he thought, that's what's striking, right? What's also striking is that it's what you don't read in this. Notice God doesn't say in here, okay, first, dump all your gods. Though I think that was maybe one reason why he wanted him to come out from his family, right? because the gods were associated with the family. So calling you out of that and out of the land and everything. But he doesn't tell him that. Doesn't tell him anything about straightening up, cleaning up. He doesn't tell him all these things you need to do first. Even get circumcised, that'll be later. This and that. He just, I want you to go to a land I'm going to show you. That's your part. You're not going to know what it is.
But wasn't it Rachel who stole the family
Yeah.
gods?
Yeah.
See, I never thought of.
Yeah. That's one reason why she did it. She was trying to bring the family heritage with her. That was something you see is very likely. See, if you kind of picture, that's what what he's being called out of. And it's really striking, first of all, that he does it. Now, by the way, remember Hebrews chapter 11, verse 6? And without faith, it is impossible to please him, right? Because anyone who believes in him must believe that he exists and that he is a rewarder of those, or they think it's worthwhile to seek him. So in other words, Abram, there's something about God where he's like, I believe you. And it's possible that Abram might just thought of him as like, again, remember, Abram is still growing in his faith and figuring out who this God is. When you first become a Christian, you're like, you see God as, you're going to help me out when I get in trouble. And God usually does. He always does, right? In other words, he accepts you where you are and where you're at in your faith. He expects you to eventually grow up, but he knows what he's getting with us. And so maybe Abram starts out thinking he's like my welfare God. He's going to protect me. But whatever it is, and that's another thing. You don't see anything. You don't see Abram lapsing into worshiping other gods. No. None of that. It's pretty remarkable. Pretty remarkable. Okay. So that's the first thing. So imagine you. When you pray, when I pray, one of the things I pray, and I say it at least several times because it's easy to say, but I let go of everyone and everything now so I can have you. Do you think everything, there's stuff that we just, you're wrapped up in the day. You're thinking about this and that, right? And then so you're trying to detach because everything is vying for your attention. It wants to control you if it can, take over. And so I think a good spiritual practice, I let go of everyone and everything. And you even start naming off people or things. I let go of my money. I let go of the bills. I let go of all of it. I can have you, right? And so in a very big sense is what Abram's doing. God said, I'm asking you to let go of everything and everyone. Right? Pretty awesome. And I want you to go to a land that I'm going to show you. You'll know when you get there. I think it's amazing. So you have to really trust that this God, so Abram's like, okay, so I don't know how many interactions, because we're going to see, and this is what really sets Abram apart. Same with Isaac, same with Jacob. All the Israelites coming after him, that's why they revere these three, is that God appears to them. Right? That's what makes a prophet big. Right? Is that he appears to you. Remember Samuel, unlike all the rest, Samuel was hearing from God. I'll tell you what, think of you, Ma. You're back then, and you're hearing, whoa, God talks to Samuel. He'll talk to you. He'll talk to you. He talks to him. I'm going to go to Samuel. I'm going to ask him, will you pray for me? Talk to God, right? So that's amazing, isn't it? Amazing, amazing.
And Eli realized it was God who was
Yeah.
He doesn't talk to me, but he's talking to you, son.
Here's another thing, too. This is like, we just pass over this because we come from the New Testament. So, Holy Spirit, we see God becoming flesh. But this right here is revolutionary. No pagan deity ever talked to anybody. You never knew what these pagan gods wanted. You didn't know if they didn't like you. So you were like, So any any of the cuneiforms we have of them, they're crying, they're cajoling, they're you're manipulating, you're trying to get the god to like pay attention to you, and the gods all have needs, and so they're trying to find that need, that niche that will like, hey, I'm over here. I need some crops. Man, I need rain. And this is why you would have probably child sacrifice, because when it got super, super bad, you're like,
What can you do?
what can I do? Right? So the very fact that this God actually appears to Abram and tells him, this is what I want. This is what I want from you, and this is what I'm going to do for you. That's like, wow.
Yeah, the fact
Unheard
that
of.
he told him what he would do for
Yeah.
him.
That's unheard. Yeah, and that's that whole idea of and look and let's take a look now, because and this is kind of huge here. Notice, go from your country, right? Go from your land, your kindred, your father's house and land I will show you. And now look at the promises. He says, and I will make of you a great nation. Remember, we know now, because we'll read it and see it, he didn't have any children. And he's 75, and Sarah's 65. They're middle-aged at best. It's like, this is like, well, you would think if I just get one, and I will bless you and make your name great. Remember we commented on that. What were they trying to do at Tower of Babel? Among other things,
Yeah.
they wanted to be remembered. Remember, we talked about that, and this is why you have ancestor worship. They believe that as long as they're remembered, as long as their name is invoked, they still exist. When you no longer talk about them and mention them, they cease to exist. So making your name great was huge. And they're all fighting to make it great. And God, see, Abram trusts God, so I'll make your name great. I'll do it.
But I will bless those
Yeah.
that bless you, and him who
Yeah.
dishonors you, I will curse.
I will bless those who bless you, and him who dishonors you, I will curse.
So can you imagine that you are so beloved by God?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to be, I will make you a blessing.
Yeah.
Anybody badmouths you? Oh,
Yeah.
I wish they had.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. But there's a reason why he's doing that, right? He's doing that because he has big plans for Abram.
Yep.
All because Ray says right here, and in you all the families of the earth shall be blessed. Or nations. Remember, we just read the 70 nations that they went rogue and they built a tower. And we kind of comment on Deuteronomy chapter 32, where the indication was that God had to distance himself from them. Not because of depth of holiness. In other words, I can no longer be around you because I'm holy and you are not, and it's just getting worse. So I need to put intermediaries. That kind of helps us to understand Jesus, right? And so he put sons of God over them. But what we read here in the covenant with Abram, he's not forgetting about us. We're part of the nations. He's not giving up. He has a plan to bring them back in. So this is important to understand, because when you read the New Testament, see, that's what Paul and the apostles were thinking. See, they thought the nations, you guys are all under the gods. You're all under the fraud gods. We have the real God. The fact that they're now all being included in, and see, that's why Paul keeps quoting this promise. See, it's through the seed of Jesus, right? See, we kind of know much more of the story now. We're way ahead. We now go, yes, Jesus was the promised one, right? We thought it was supposed to be Israel, and in a sense it was, but just what we're seeing, the theme, it came down to one true. It always comes the other way. Everyone blows it. There's like one left. In this case, it was Jesus, right? But anyway, all the families of the earth shall be blessed. So this is kind of the covenant He will name it officially a covenant in chapter 15. But this is the plan, right? This is God's plan, and he chooses Abram out of the land of Mesopotamia, probably not far from the land of Nimrod, right? There we go again. God choosing people out of, like, was Abram raised well? Well, his dad was pagan. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But remarkably,
But if God chooses you
yes,
and blesses you, then you're in. You're in.
yeah. And it's amazing. I wonder how God appeared. It's just amazing to think. The Bible doesn't tell us, but now you can see why he's going to be the father. He is the father of the Israelite nation, right? He's the man. He's even bigger than Moses. As far as, if you're thinking, you're asking the Jews are kind of, oh yeah, I mean, Moses is like way cool and all, but Abraham's the man. He's the father, right? Father Abraham had many sons. Many sons had Father Abraham. And I am one of them, and so are you. My kids had a game on Nintendo. They did that song the whole time. All right. So anyway, verse 4. So Abram went. His name hasn't been changed to Abraham. He'll get it changed when he goofs up. So Abram went as the Lord had told him. And Lot
Yes, I've already made peace with God about
went with him. Yeah.
Totally
No, I mean, when we get there, we're gonna see he is portrayed in the narrative of he being the man of sight. He was a city boy. He liked the bright lights, man. He's thinking dancing girls. He's loving it all. Anyway, we'll get when we get there. Yeah. Okay. Abram was 75 years old when he departed from Haran. I'll never forget, oh gosh, what's his name? Jordan Peterson, reading the Bible, maybe for the first time and going. So it seems that God seems to really love middle-aged adventurous men. You had Moses, you had Abe, right? There's your idea of you need someone a little older, but he's adventurous. Abram was. He's got that in him. He's middle. He's kind of not young. God could have went to it. Young. He was willing. That's where the adventurous come, because you have to be, to go out like, I mean, what, bro? You just gonna leave everything behind? Well, I was the tail end of middle age, and I just felt like either I sit in my chair and retire, or I just go do something that doesn't make much sense. And I just, right? And this is the story. Abram, this story, I mean, nowhere near the level, right? Nowhere near, but it's the same idea. And I did not know where I was going. I mean, I had a vague semblance of Tennessee, but no relatives, no nothing. And I'll tell you what, it was fun, in my humble opinion. Anyway. And Abram took Sarai his wife, and Lot his brother's son. What do you think about that, by the way? God says, leave your family behind. And how we love to kind of give Abram a hard time about that. He didn't seem to obey fully. What I'm always struck, though, is that God is not calling him out for it.
Well, it's just the three of them. It's not like he had a huge family, just the three of them.
I think he will have some other people with him, but not his family. You're right.
They even took Sarah and Lot and all their possessions.
Yeah.
Just the three of them.
Yeah, I think you'll see some more in. But anyway, but even still, I can understand why he takes. You can sympathize with why he takes Lot. Right? I mean, he's a nephew and his dad dies.
Yeah.
What's he supposed to do?
Like a son. Yeah.
That's
very much like a son.
Yeah. Again, I can't really say why he did. For all I know, Lot could have been perfectly capable of taking care of his own self. I don't know. It doesn't say. I'm sure you could probably, if you look back to culture, you could this is how they did it back then. But anyway, though, we kind of read that, leave your father's house. And of course, he was supposed to leave his father's house, but it looks like his dad kind of said, nope, we're all going together.
Yeah.
I don't know how that happened.
But I'm sure it doesn't sound like Lot was kicking and screaming, no, I don't want to go.
No.
No, I don't want to go. He was glad. I mean, he was basically on his own. So he was glad to.
Well, we don't really know. Maybe, who knows how they thought. Like, we did the same thing with Noah and his sons. We don't know how they viewed it. Maybe there was no other. When dad's going here, you're going there.
Yeah.
When Abram's going, you don't have a choice. That very well could have been. I don't know. I don't know.
Abram didn't have a son, and Lot
Yeah.
would have been about that age, his nephew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's interesting because I don't know what. Yeah. When we get to that, we'll have to talk about that because one of the issues that you're always looking for, if you're Abram, if you're any man, and you start acquiring wealth, is you need an heir. And he will make mention in chapter 15 that God, all I have is a servant, Eliezer. He's going to be my heir. And God says, no. So in other words, was he ever thinking Lot is going to be my heir? I need Lot because Lot's going to be the one who's going to carry on the legacy, the family. You really needed that to keep everything going. You needed that son. So when that Lot leaves, well, plan B. I don't know. Okay, so anyway, verse 5. And Abram took Sarai his wife and Lot his brother's son and all their possessions that they had gathered and the people that they had acquired in Haran. So so they had an entourage. He was a very capable person.
It was their people. It
Yeah.
wasn't family.
Yeah.
It was Lot and Sarai's family.
And they set out to go to the land of Canaan. When they came to the land of Canaan, verse 6, Abram passed through the land to the place at Shechem, to the oak of Moreh. At that time, the Canaanites were in the land. Okay. I don't know, something about trees. There's something about big trees that the ancients like to worship under, right? The ashram poles and things like that, right? They're big. Yeah, and we're not really entirely sure, but it seemed like maybe things happened at that place. And so, but we do see something happens right there, right? Verse 7. And we can just read over this and not catch it. Then the Lord appeared to Abram. Okay, wait a minute. He shows up. Abram could see him. Right? You know what makes you wonder? Is that Jesus? I don't know.
Well, the fact in mine, Lord is all caps.
Yeah.
Which generally means God.
Well, so Lord actually would be Yahweh, but Jesus is Yahweh. So, but yeah, that's right. All caps would not be Elohim. All caps would be Yahweh, the covenant keeping God, right? To your offspring, I will give this land. So he built there an altar to the Lord who had appeared to him.
In your Bibles is Lord all caps? No? Yeah. It is in yours. So.
Well, here,
Okay.
let's find out. I'll tell you really.
Jesus, when David referred to the Lord spoke to my Lord, it was the Lord all caps spoke to my Lord, capital L, lowercase.
Verse 7, right?
Yes.
It is, Yahweh, the self-existent or eternal name of God. You would see it in some like the King James Bibles, like Jehovah, Yehovah. Okay.
And And that's just because I happen to be in the book of Psalms right now, and I just read that psalm.
No way.
Yeah, the Lord spoke to my Lord. Capitals, all caps, lowercase. Yeah.
Then the Lord appeared to Abram and said, "To your offspring I will give this land." So he built there an altar to the Lord who had appeared to him. And again, it's one of those things what we don't see. So we would expect, okay, this is like amazing. He sees the Lord again. He must. I think he has seen him a number of times. He will see him more times, and that's just kind of striking. Imagine that. Here you are, like a polytheist, a mini God worshiper, and you're like following. This God shows up, talks to you. Wow. He built an altar, but what we don't see ever from Abram is any kind of sacrifice. Doesn't sacrifice on these altars were not made for sacrificing. So the best we could figure, it seems like it was made kind of like a landmarker, a marker.
But my Bible says, so he built there an altar to the Lord who had appeared
Yeah.
to him.
Yeah.
But remember, anybody who saw God, you
We read that in verse 7. Then the Lord appeared to Abram.
yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I thought God did not appear to people. Remember?
He appears to people all the time. All the time.
But not in like what form?
I don't know. But he appeared to people all the time. We know in chapter 18, he's going to walk right up to Abram with two angels and they're going to have dinner together. All the time. Isn't it amazing we miss that in our Bibles? I mean, yes, it'll say, like, in other words, we'll see in John, it'll say, like no one could see God. No one is. In fact, here's why I said, why is it Jesus? Because John will say, in no uncertain term, Jesus will say, no one has seen the Father at any time. No one has seen God at any time.
Somebody who saw his back.
Well, right, but the thing is, okay, wait a minute. If no one has seen God at any time, then who's Abram looking at?
Yeah, see, that's why I'm saying.
Well, that's why I'm saying. That's why Jesus. Is that what John is alluding to? Is that who they were all seeing all the time was Jesus.
Pre-incarnate Jesus.
Amazing.
Well, if that's the case, then why would it be all caps?
Well, that's the first thing you want to release is forget the all caps.
Forget that. Okay.
Well, what I'm saying is, see, you're looking at all the caps are is to distinguish a different type of name, Yahweh or Elohim. But remember, these are also translations. So that doesn't mean anything, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
mine's all lower.
Yeah.
Right.
So.
Yeah. So what his Bible's doing, it's making a translation decision. And maybe the right one, but the point being is now, I mean, again, it doesn't mean they will get it right every time. This is where you got to kind of, yeah. You don't want to be so wooden on that, right? Obviously, because we're looking at this, and
That's why I said,
But
wait
Jim,
a minute.
like Pat's is all caps and mine's lower, right? It's like they kind of battle each other, and that's what the beautiful thing of not just so locked onto one translation.
yeah.
And it's beautiful that we all
Yeah.
have different Bibles.
And it would be kind of cool to the translators would have, they would probably give the reason. This is why we translate it like this. We made it, maybe they do that for all of it. One, I mean, that could very well be. That could very well be. Because again, it isn't really, it isn't Lord. Actually, it would be, close, the consonant. So here's we say Yahweh, but that assumes that we know what the consonants are. But in the ancient languages, there were no there were no vowels. I'm sorry, just consonants. So YHWH. That's right, in our equivalent. So we don't really know how it was pronounced. And as time went on, and when the Ten Commandments came out, right, and it said, "Don't take the Lord's name in vain." So, how do you know when you're taking the Lord's name in vain? Well, I'm not sure. So the Jews decided at some point, well, if we just don't say the name, then we'll never take it in vain. And that's where Adonai, they replaced it with the name. In other words, you'll see the name. The name.
Are you serious?
Yes, the name.
I've never heard.
Yeah, and so and some of the translations, that's why they put like Lord, but really it is Yah, but we're not even sure how it'd be pronounced. Yeah. So as a result, the name was lost for quite a long time because no one would say it. The name. That's what they say. The name. Blessed be the name. You know.
Okay.
Anyway.
Yeah. Don't
Kind of
say the name because then you could be taking it in vain. Wow.
yes.
That's one sure way of not
Yes,
saying
and
it.
that's well, and
Yeah.
that's how it got, and so that's kind of like hedging your bets, you know.
Yeah.
If I don't do anything, then I can't
Then
make
I
a
can't do
mistake.
it, then I can't do something wrong.
And that's why Craig used to say to me, "Do something if it's wrong."
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you know the parable about the talents.
Yeah,
You got to do something.
that's it.
So
Boy, you're on it.
they'll bury you.
Yeah. So there. Well, going back to Abram, I'm glad you brought that up because if you look at what he was not willing to do by his own words, he was not willing to take a risk. He was playing it total safe
Totally safe.
to the point that he buried. And God was like, "You wicked, lazy servant."
Yeah.
Right? And so we look at Abram, we're like, what did Abram do? So Abram was not going to get in on all this unless he was willing to take a risk and do something that I'm sure his whole family thought he was nuts. Well, of course, Haran didn't. Haran must have that's fascinating to me. How his dad, Terah, I'm sorry, how Terah got into, how he kind of got involved. I don't know. But in any case, God's like, no, he's not supposed to come, so you just wait there till
he dies.
Yeah.
Okay, he's died. Now, son, now you're going to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a long time to wait. Anyway,
Yeah,
fascinating.
yeah.
Okay.
They're all sitting around the table.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I wait till he dies, Dad.
Well, so maybe we're in a similar thing. You're waiting on and God says, okay, we'll wait this out, and it takes a lot of time. We may not get that impression, but a lot of time when God calls to do something, it takes some time, a lot of time. But Abram's staying with it now. I mean, he's halfway there. Now he's stuck.
Yeah.
Well, look at Sarah and having that baby.
Yeah.
Had to wait all along.
Yes.
To such a point, they didn't think it was even possible to have it.
Yeah.
90 years of age.
And we're gonna get that. That's awesome. Okay, great. So the promise, right, to your offspring, this is 7b, I will give this land. So he built there an altar to the Lord who appeared to him. And from there, he moved to the hill country on the east of Bethel, which is house of God, I think is what Bethel means, and pitched his tent, and Bethel on the west, and Ai on the east. And there he built an altar to the Lord and called upon the name of the Lord. And Abram journeyed on, still going toward the Negev. And that's going to be their way of life. They're going to be sojourners, nomads.
And I'm sorry, that's hard. That's a hard life. Hard life.
Surely not something that we as Americans and most peoples
we
are.
like the idea of we have a house, we have ground around us, we can go out a front door or out a door.
And why do we like that, you think?
A sense of stability almost.
Security, stability.
Yeah.
You have your own land and you can kind of grow your food, or you have your own, yeah.
And also a sense, because when you wake up in the morning, you know where you are, and unlike, well, we have no idea what town we'll be in tomorrow. You don't know about your food supply.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, if you have flocks, though, and if you happen to be in land where the food's not abundant, but
I think more so for a woman, although no, because now the man's got to provide, so it's difficult.
And and Abram is never going to know this, and Abram is really, and he's doing it. And again, they're not about self. That's how we get that through ourself. They're more about family and lineage, and so he is preparing for his descendants. He's going to be the one, but eventually his descendants are going to get to him. It's not until they get to Jacob. And even then, a long time. So just imagine that where you're basically living by faith. You're living by faith that God has a plan and you're not going to see the fruits thereof. And then, but Hebrews kind of supplies a lot more to this. Abraham was looking for the city of God. He was, yeah. So what do y'all think about this? What do y'all think about so far? Knucklehead, man of faith.
Definitely a man of faith. Definitely a man of faith.
Think he got a raw deal or a good deal?
Oh, a good deal. God said, I'm going to bless you, and every family on the face of the earth is going to be. Oh, yes.
How does he get blessed if he don't see, like he won't see all the nations of the earth being blessed?
It's the promise, though. The promise from God. God promised him that.
Yeah, what if he has more of an eternal perspective? What if it, yeah, he didn't so much see just our lifetime. In fact, that you said that, Hebrews chapter 11 kind of gives us, because, trying to put ourselves in his shoes and how he's thinking. In Hebrews chapter 11, I'll start at verse 8. By faith, Abraham obeyed when he was called to go out to a place that he was to receive as an inheritance. Yeah, so keep in mind, inheritance was huge. He was leaving his inheritance back. Once you left it, he ain't getting it back. He left all of that to, we call it, to strike it rich somewhere else. He was a degen, right? And he went out not knowing where he was going. By faith, he went to live in the land of promise, as in a foreign land, living in tents with Isaac and Jacob, heirs with him of the same promise. For he was looking forward to the city that has foundations, whose designer and builder is God. So clearly he was like, he wanted God. He wanted what God had. He believed that God had more for him than anything that the world could offer.
He was saying, it's your will, God, not my
Yeah.
will. When he decided to do what
Yes.
God told him.
Yeah.
And with going with your question, I got one small reply in verse chapter 12, right in the middle of 2. It says, "I will make your name great."
Yeah.
And if God said that to you,
Yeah.
wouldn't you call that a golden ticket?
Yeah.
That's when the Lord says something,
Yeah.
it's going to happen.
Yeah.
No matter what.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the golden ticket would make your name great.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
And we have offers from the world. Well, we can make your name great, or we have what you need.
Yeah.
Right? They've spent billions of dollars learning how to market that, where they know what we need, and they're going to offer it to us, right? Like stability. We want stability. We want security. We want to know that when we get up the next day, the stuff we had is still there.
Yeah.
And all this stuff. And we want to live long, and we can make your name. We can, and so all these things. And we saw Tower of Babel. They try to make a name for themselves. And that's right. No, you're exactly right. God says to him directly, you put your trust in me. You hitch your wagon to me. And you remain loyal to me. And I'm going to give you this, and that. That's what's going to happen. Yeah. And Abram took him up on it and went.
Yeah, and Abram had to do two things. He had to believe, and had to act on his belief.
Yes.
He couldn't do just one.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
That's why I think the faith, I like believing loyalty. So God was calling for him, you be loyal. There ain't much faith if you're like, oh, I'm fit now, I'm ditching you. The first sign of trouble, I'm gone. No, he's loyal, and we're seeing that, right? Amazingly loyal. In fact, it's almost like he must have, because we know people. You would think, it's like, God's got you, but we still waver. And it's not like Abram didn't have his moments too. Let's say that.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah.
But anyway, he it's just striking that he went out and trusted him. Anyway, verse 13 it says, okay, so verse 12 says, I'm in Hebrews. Therefore, from one man, and him as good as dead, were born descendants as many as the stars of heaven, and as many as innumerable grains of sand by the seashore. Now, this verse 13 said, I'm in Hebrews, these all died in faith, not having received the things promised, but having seen them and greeted them from afar, and having acknowledged that they were strangers and exiles on the earth. For people who speak thus make it clear that they are seeking a homeland. If they had been thinking of that land from which they had gone out, they would have had opportunity to return. But as it is, they desire a better country, that is, a heavenly one. Therefore, God is not ashamed to be called their God, for he has prepared for them a city. I bring this up, Mike. It kind of goes back to what you were talking about heaven. Because, how do we think about that? And it is kind of strange. Abram wanted something. He wanted God, and he wanted everything that God had for him, right? And he believed that if I just throw myself in, I mean, heart, mind, soul, will, body, right? Just everything in, God will come through. That's really what it comes down to, right? When we make deals with people. If I throw myself in, right? If I throw myself into this, are you coming through on your end? Or like you said, when God says he's going to do something, he'll do it. Right? You know what I'm saying? That's the huge part. And that's what makes Abram so awesome, is that he believed God. Yeah. He was all in. That's what we call that's Abram's nickname. All in. All in Abram. All in Abram. How much you in, Abram? I'm all in.
People like Abram, Peter. Peter was all in.
All in.
Too far.
Yes.
I mean, cutting off people's ears.
That's a good example. Yeah. So okay. So there you go. You're hitting on something, because it's like with Abram and disciples. Oh, did God choose them because they were perfect? No. Were they perfect? No. Well, what was it about them?
They were willing.
They were willing. They were all in. They went all in, and you got to give them that. They literally left everything, and that's how it's portrayed, right? They left everything to follow Jesus. Abram left everything. We've kind of watered faith down to being like, well, you can still have everything you want. All you got to do is just think nice thoughts about Jesus.
I know who you're talking about. Joel Osteen.
Tell a lot, that's how we perceive faith, is like an intellectual exercise. If you just kind of think, yes, I do believe. They asked me that on a test. I'll say yes every time. I pass. But the Bible portrays it as no, faith is more like faith in a marriage. It's like loyalty. It's like, in integrity. Right. And it doesn't mean perfection. You're going to fall on your face. You're going to do a lot of stupid things. But at the end, we'll say that, the friends that we call true friends, it's not, I won't say because they're perfect, but when I was down, they were there. When the chips were down, the flaky friends were not to be around. The true friend. See, that we all believe in the same thing. That's loyalty. See, it's faithfulness. And that's what I think God's looking for. It's our hearts. So that means give your heart to someone. And so Abram, he does it. And I just think it's way cool. And we're going to see. We get down the next verses. We'll pick them up next week. He's going to like forget what you said, Monty, and that God made a promise to him. I'm going to protect you. All the nations of the earth are going to be blessed through you, Abram. Meaning, you have to stay alive and you need to have children, right? But he loses his cool and this, right?
Yeah.
And he tries to like finagle around to keep himself alive. Well, God's going to keep you alive, bro. But see, even the great Abram, he got A pluses on the big macro ideas, and some of the micro
And
things
even though he messed up, God did not say, "No,
Right.
dude, you messed up." Sorry.
That's right.
And when we read this, Abram pre-thought. This is premeditated.
Yeah.
Lie.
Yeah.
This is not just on the phone. He knew, and he was right.
Which he does it twice.
He does have
And so does Isaac. So and I was kind of reading up on this. We can't say what his thinking, and we can't say why he thought that, even though it seems like it was the way he acts is like, yes, this is what you do in a situation. This is how it goes. So, but we can't say because we don't know why he did it. There's no writing on like this is what you do, So, but because he did it twice. He didn't.
We know why he did
Yeah.
it. He was afraid.
Well, but should he have been? And why should he have been?
No, but human nature, sadly.
I think he lost faith in his God. He didn't trust him.
That ultimately is what it comes down to.
Yep.
If he took him that serious to the point where I'm gonna have many people, if he's dead, it can't happen. He actually was right then and there. He was unkillable.
We do that a lot where it's not that we like necessarily just kind of like totally like deny God, but we trust him. There's a part of it that trusts him. But there's a part of us that covertly rebels, right? And we we can't pay the bills, so we fidget a little on our tax, whatever it is, just to kind of like, right? And wait a minute, God said he would take care of us. But when you get in the heat of the battle, you
And yet, look what
lapse.
he did when God said you are to sacrifice your son Isaac. Look what he did. He was willing to.
Well, when we get there, we'll discuss that. But I mean, because there's a lot to be said on that. But as of right now, right? As of right, and it.
Human nature is human nature.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I want to be careful. I don't want to like make excuses for him, and I don't want to use human nature. I mean, it was that I don't want to make excuses for it because this was written for us that we may not fall into the same trap. So, could Abraham have done better? Yes. Should have Abraham done better? Yes. But and can we do better? Yes. And can we learn from this? Yes. But at the same time, we also go, well, okay, part of the job description isn't we can never have lapses. We have to be perfect. In other words, I can still follow God, even though I may fall on my face. In fact, you can almost say you can count on it. I'm going to fall on my face. And, and God obviously knew. And I think it's just part of the growing process where God is bringing Abram along. And what's interesting is that God doesn't punish Abram. Well, let's just read through it. Now there was a famine in the land, because we basically went all through it. So Abram went down to Egypt to sojourn there, for the famine was severe in the land. Remember, it was brutal. Famines were brutal. Go for it, Monty.
All right. The very first sentence, I have a problem. There was a famine in the land. Why did God allow that? Now, I think maybe this is his plan all along. He could have totally not had a famine in the land.
Yeah, he could have averted it.
Right?
Yeah.
He's testing, and Abraham had to be praying to the Lord, said, "Please, we're
Yeah.
short on food."
Yeah.
He didn't answer him.
Yeah.
Answer his prayers. So,
Which could have led to Abram kind of thought, even though subconsciously, okay, God, I guess is saying you're on your own, son. And
that's where I'm going with
yeah,
this.
yeah, yeah,
And then
yeah,
he was thinking maybe he was on
yeah,
his own.
yeah,
Because
yeah,
he lost favor with the Lord.
yeah.
He could have thought.
So you're bringing up something because another way of looking at what you're talking about is like God's going to intervene. So okay, so God proves He will intervene, but why not have intervened before the famine? Why did you wait till then? And there's a lot of things in our life that's like that, right? Where we know God comes through, but sometimes He cuts it awfully close, right?
Yeah.
He waits till you're biting all your nails off and your hair is gone. Yeah, so I mean, and we really don't have an answer for that other than God knows what He's doing and He's growing us, and it's up to us to be good with that, I guess. But anyway, okay, that's a good point, Monty. Now, there was a famine in the land, so Abram went down to Egypt to sojourn there, for the famine was severe in the land. When he was about to enter Egypt, he said to Sarai, his wife, I know that you're a woman beautiful in appearance. Okay? Keep in mind, that's how we think. And we think, oh, we'll go, she's 65, she still looks hot. Oh, Suzanne said all this bright. No, I mean, keep in mind, beautiful in appearance could have been, well, I'm sure to them in that culture, if you could produce children, you look really beautiful. Or if you were hefty and strong and you could still work, you were. So it wouldn't be like how in other words, she'd have to look like Melania Trump.
Well, we don't know.
Exactly.
We don't know that.
Yeah.
I think she was.
I think she was hot.
Yeah, I do too.
Because the people in Egypt were fixing to get there. They
Yeah.
were saying, woo wee, and went and told the
Yeah.
Wow, you gotta come see this woman.
Yeah.
She is one haughty.
Mhm.
Yes. Yep. That's what I think.
Yeah. I was kind of reading up on it, and the guy, he was kind of saying that, it probably not. I mean, okay, to say it a different way, you don't have to look at it. See, that's what you call we're being anachronistic. We're looking. Okay, this is how we see a woman. So, but in those, no, they didn't think of women that way. A hot woman was someone who, hey, that girl could carry more bales of hay than your woman can. That chick's hot. But we can go with she looked hot. We can do that.
We don't know.
The paintings from the different eras. And
Yeah.
the big women were beautiful in this era.
They were.
That's a different
era. Yeah.
The Renaissance.
Yeah.
The hefty women, the plump women were the beauties.
So what I'm saying is, like, some people will what they'll do is that if she looked so beautiful and hot, and she's 65 and should be old, and then therefore God was like preserving her beauty, and you could say, yeah, but then again, she may not have been beautiful that way. It might have been different, but in any case, we'll go with the hot.
Sophia Loren, age 65, was one beautiful woman. So
see, I can't. It's not going to see. Now I know why they said that, because you're not going to stop people. They're just going to keep going. No, we're going. We're going to call her. We're going to call her Sophie Sarai. Sophie Sarai. All right.
You're making 65 sound really old.
This is his wife. Then, okay, and when the Egyptians see you, they will say, "This is his wife." Then they will kill me, but they will let you live. And I'm kind of thinking that for her sake too. I mean, it is kind of him, but I think he's thinking, and if I die, it's not good for you. So it's good for both of us, right? So anyway, say you are my sister, that it may go well with me because of you, and that my life may be spared for your sake. And when Abram entered Egypt, and by the way, I think I said this, but when we went through this with our college age class, and it was all girls, I lost them on this. They never liked Abraham after this. And I couldn't, no matter what I did, they thought Abram was a slug, wasn't that worth anything, because he let her out the dry. Yes, they were fired up. When Abram entered Egypt, the Egyptians saw that the woman was very beautiful, Sophie-ish. And when the princes of Pharaoh saw her, they praised her to Pharaoh. And the woman was taken into Pharaoh's house. And for her sake he dealt well with Abram, so his plan's working. And he had sheep, oxen, male donkeys, male servants, female donkeys, and camels. But of course, there's a problem, right? Well, not only is she married, but even if there's a hint of impropriety, then the claim could be that Isaac is not the true child. Right? There is problems. And also being impure.
Yeah.
Well, that's exactly why the Lord stepped in.
Right. So now, again, he could have at least slapped Abram first. You dope! You put everything up.
But can I,
Yes.
teacher?
No. Friend, we're brothers on this one. We're studying together. Yeah.
Is that okay? When he started accepting this stuff, it's almost I look at it like I'm giving you this stuff for this. Nothing's for free in life, right? So and he accepted it.
Yeah.
He should say, no, I can't take this. But obviously he took it off. It didn't say he didn't reject it. So I just thought that when Pharaoh was giving this stuff, it was a payment for.
I think there is. I think it's some of that. He's so keeping brother-in-law happy. I don't know. And so yeah, okay. So now you look at Abram. I mean, so the Bible didn't tell us. Was he like wincing? Like, is he getting more nervous? But he's taking the stuff and he's feeling guilty, or is he liking the idea? Keep bringing the stuff on, ching, 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 or is he thinking God must be in this because He's blessing me with stuff? Remember, what, and in a sense, it might be true. Remember, God says, "I will bless those who bless you, and those who dishonor you." So we do see that even though Abram is kind of, how God is still, you could argue, God is still blessing him. But it's hard to say what's going on here. We don't know. Other than we know that God does not like the setup, because if we read verse 17, but the Lord afflicted Pharaoh and his house with great plagues because of Sophie Sarai, Abram's wife. So Pharaoh called Abram and said, "What is this you have done to me? Why did you not tell me that she was your wife?" So ironically, he is like chastising a pagan ruler, Egyptian ruler chastising Abram. What are you doing, bro? Killing me. Okay, literally, you're killing me. Why did you say she is my sister so that I took her for my wife? Now then, here is your wife. Take her and go. And Pharaoh gave men orders concerning him, and they sent him away with his wife and all that he had.
He wanted him gone quick.
Yeah.
He let him have all
Yeah.
those animals.
Yeah.
Just go.
And it's
This is going to sound really stupid, but as
No.
you're reading the list of what he received, he had sheep, oxen, male donkeys. Now we have male servants and female servants, and then the female donkeys.
Yeah.
Not male donkeys and female donkeys. You get the people in between the male donkeys and the female donkeys.
Yeah.
I thought that's an odd way to list.
Well, my version, can I read it to you?
Please.
We'll throw you in a loop. So he treated Abram well because of her, and Abram acquired flocks and herds, male and female donkeys, male and female slaves, and camels.
Okay, see that makes more sense.
Yeah, right.
Than this.
unless
Unless.
now here's the thing. If the ESV here is like recording it how it was listed in the manuscripts, then the way you can read this is the most important sheep,
Yeah.
10 oxen,
Yeah.
then the male donkeys, do as far as workload
Yeah.
and feed,
Yeah.
then the male servants, then the female
female
servants,
Then the
female donkeys, and the cat. Now I don't know that at all. I don't know
Yeah.
I'm not just saying.
Yeah, but it's I just as I'm reading, but that's odd.
Yeah, it is a
That
little bit
they
odd.
have
Split it up.
the male donkeys and the female donkeys separated by male servants and female servants.
Well, I will say this though, like you got the males on both ends, male donkeys and male servants, then the female servants and the female donkeys.
It just
So
yeah,
it's so in other words, now it makes they're just kind of connected, but it is interesting that you connected now. Why are there no female sheep, no female camel? Why male and female donkeys only mentioned, but no female or no female camels? That's a good. All those camels are kind of ugly looking. Are there any female camels? There have to be. Because how would you like have?
in order to have little camels.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know.
But just as I was reading,
Yeah.
that's kind of a strange listing the way it's
Yeah.
listed there.
How they split it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, how they split it up.
Okay.
Absolutely. But yeah, Pharaoh. You get out of here, man. Get
See, what
out
I'm
of
always,
here.
what I'm always so okay. So it seems like a lot of times these narratives, like so, and when we read history books, right? Well, they just kind of give you the history and try to give all the details. Whereas these ancient, they're written like narratives, and they're written kind of as object lessons. In other words, you're to draw lessons out of them, but they don't necessarily tell you everything. You got to kind of see it for yourself. And we can see some. But one thing that's always striking to me is how God treats Abram. He just, I mean, we see plenty of times where we be yelling all the time. You blew, bro, it's timeout, offsides, But God
so
rarely
patient.
ever does that with Abram. It's almost like as if, to me, it's almost like he's doing with Abram. It's like, okay, you're in charge. Okay, no, God's in charge. I'm putting you responsible. Choices you make, you're going to live with them. But I'm going to be with you 100 steps away.
It's like First Samuel. I was talking
Yeah.
same exactly.
Yeah.
That's pretty predictable of God, though.
Yeah. Yes. God, if so, go ahead, Lisa. I'm sorry.
I said, once he puts his seal on you, he's got you.
Yeah.
Even if you do stupid stuff.
Yeah.
And you hear those people who will say things like, I'm going to err on the side of grace. And that just seems like how God, I mean, I know there are times where God's pretty brutal, but it just seems like with his people, he seemed to me, if you were ever to be bold enough like Job and to like accuse God of something, you could accuse him of being too lenient, being too trustworthy with some of his subjects. Like you're giving too much responsibility to these knuckleheads. But that's the way he seems to operate, right?
Well, the Lord gave, yes, sir. The Lord gave us free will.
Yeah.
If he controlled, we wouldn't have our free will.
Yeah.
So Abram really had free. He truly had free
He
will.
did.
You can see it.
Yeah.
He had free will.
Yeah.
That's the beautiful part of it.
And you're assuming, of course, that what God wants Abram to do is to learn and grow. And he's given him a lot of space to do so. See, for me, like living, because, we hear it all the time. You micromanage. People who micromanage. And there's people who give too much space. You're always like, what's the perfect ratio? When do you come in and be, hey, hold on, man, we'll put training wheels on this? And when you like, well, they got to learn. And I would say God, he seems to me anyway, with his friends. He's on the live and let him learn, right? Take the training wheels off and let him go.
And also, God was really actually kind to Pharaoh. Yes, he inflicted him with plagues, but he didn't kill him.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
didn't kill him. It's like, no, Pharaoh, in this case, I know you were an innocent person.
Yeah.
You did not know because Abram lied to you and you were just basing your decision on a lie that you had been given. And so for that reason, I'm not going to kill you.
So to Monty's point about God backing his word, Abram is seeing God's keeping his covenant word. Those who bless you are blessed. Those who dishonor you, that includes even if you kind of get yourself on the spot, Abram, but God. And so Abram kind of saw that. Because maybe God's looking at this too. It's like, look, Abram, he's come out from his pagan-filled polytheism world. He comes into a place, well, he needs to learn. In other words, he gave him grace. He gave him slack. And he's now showing Abram. In other words, maybe to your point, Monty, about one reason why God allowed the famine is he wanted to demonstrate to Abram, I got your back. In other words, you can, God tells us that in his Bible. And this goes back again to you talking about pastors being too young. God tells us things in the Bible and you can know them, but you really don't get to really know them until you experience them. You need to, and that only takes time. And so one of the things that Abram needs to learn is in the heat of the battle, God's saying, I keep my word. I keep my word. And even though you can hear it 1,000 times, you need to go through it. Even our own lives. When you go, you probably could say like, oh, mine when I was young, I didn't. Now I've gotten older. I went through it and God's been there. He has accepted me and brought me in, right? You too?
Mm-hmm.
That's when you really know.
Yeah.
And maybe it's what God said. Abram needs to understand this. God, right? God's coming through.
Yeah.
I've been rebellious in my life.
Yes.
All
Me too. Me too. Yeah.
caps. Yes.
Yeah.
And rebellious.
Yeah, and so God's paid. Go ahead, Lisa.
It doesn't say anything about Lot and all of that.
Yeah, where was Lot?
But when you're leaving, Lot's going with you.
Yeah.
So how did he get all his stuff?
Yeah.
Hmm.
And why did Sarah have to go to Egypt? And best to leave her where they was hanging out for a little while.
Well, if there was no food where they were at.
Well, you would think you would leave before you was totally out.
Yeah.
Lot certainly went with them into Egypt.
I imagine it got to the place where it was dire strait. I think I picture it was pretty bad. I mean, we talked about it. When famines happen there, because we have, we can always go, with our heads drooping, and we can walk into a, like a shelter and get some food or something.
Mm-hmm.
There was nothing like that there.
Food pantries? No, they didn't.
You were dying.
No food.
And I think where they lived, where they were at, it was the land very arid, maybe like 4 to 10 inches of rain,
Oh my goodness.
maybe 4 to 12 inches of rain a year, and it was pretty brutal. And if you didn't, get, if you missed out on some rain, we should have got it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, anyway, there's a lot there for us, huh? A lot there on.
Yeah.
I love looking at I always think God's patience, how patient He is with, and what you brought, how patient He was with you, and how patient with me. He's patient, and yeah. And then I realize how much patience I lack with people. Yeah, the goal is you want to be like God, right? You look at how patient He is with you. Well, then I think one of the things we want to learn to do is to be patient with other people. He's patient with me, right? And I'm like, hurry up, got you out there. 5 minutes is up.
Well, we say the patience of Job.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. We had the patience of
Yeah. Job had the patience beat it to him.
And yet,
But still,
yet
Job
Job,
had a ton of patience, but
he did get upset. He got upset, didn't he? I want him to come down here and talk to me face to face.
Yeah.
Man to man.
Yeah, there's like lots of movies out there. When things happen like that, they always portray it as the people, there's no God, and they forsake Him, right? And they go into this kind of atheist banter, why would a God allow us to suffer like this? Well, with Job, that was one thing that never entered his mind. He wanted to go meet God face to face and have a talk with Him.
he was going to straighten him out.
Yeah, he's like, we didn't have a talk about this. But he didn't turn atheist, did he?
No, he sure did. He never cursed God and died.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was very interesting, that part right there.
He would not curse God and die.
Okay, so what's one, closing up, what's one lesson that you get from, trust in God. Thought you were going to do a Daryl, trust and obey.
Yeah. Trust
Yeah.
and obey. Yeah. And don't lie. Don't tell.
Well, a half lie is a full lie.
It's only one kind of a lie, and that's a lie, huh? There's no degrees of lie. They're just lies.
No, there's no.
Yeah.
It's a white lie. what's a white lie as opposed to a black lie?
You
No.
know, and
A
I'll
little lie, a little white
since you
lie.
guys hit that, I'll bring up one thing, and this kind of makes us, I think, uncomfortable. We'll talk about trusting God, and that is so true. But we oftentimes phrase it as we trust Him, and God doesn't do anything, or have to do anything, or want to do anything. And what I mean is, Abram went. God made promises to Abram, and he was saying as in, what I'm going to give you beats what they can give you. Or why would Abram leave? Why leave? But God, what I've given you is better than that. But Jesus says, what I'm giving you is life. They can't offer that. I'm offering you that, right? So, in other words, this idea, I trusting in God, believing that He has what I need, life. I want what God has. That's what Abraham. I want what you have, God. I want everything you have. Every problem I want. I'm all in. And I think God. That's what God wants. He wants us to believe in Him, that He can give us that. Remember Paul talked about God will supply all your needs, right? Right. Now we got to think through that too, because we don't do it for the stuff. Just like when you love someone because you love someone. But I don't think there's anything wrong with God. I need life. Without you, I'm nothing. Right? What's it say? One day in your course is better than 1,000. Is that right? No, what is it?
One day in your court is better than thousands elsewhere.
It's in Psalms, yeah. Yeah. Okay, trust. Yeah. Didn't they call Abraham the man of faith? I think I did.
It's just we don't. When Peter was walking on the water, when did he start sinking?
Yeah.
When he took his eyes off.
Yeah.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Abram took his eyes off.
Yeah.
He started looking for his
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
He took his eyes.
Yeah.
I wonder if Abram said, "What would Jesus do?"
Right.
Well, what would God do?
Yeah.
We're not Jesus.
You know, I've heard. I'm looked much into, but some will say that Abraham was actually a merchant before he came. And so
okay.
If he was, then you could see him, like you said, when maybe he got a little bit nervous and he went back to his old. We need to make a deal. It's time for us to do some weird dealing. This is how we're going to play this, girlfriend. You are my sister. Technically, you are. Well, that lie. Technically, you are my sister. And we're going to play it like this, and we're going to score. I'll live.
Where we go. Get food.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't know. I guess God must have not have talked to him about it, only because he did it again.
Yeah. Well, he wound up getting a lot of goodies from Pharaoh, so it didn't hurt him. He didn't get hurt by the bad decision that he made. He wound up getting.
I see. He didn't pay a penalty.
Yeah. And so that's why I think he was willing to do it again, because if you've really gotten hurt by a bad decision, then you ought to, okay, I don't think I'll try that again. If you're wise, but we are stupid, or at least, I'll go ahead and say I am. I've done something more stupid today, and I'll turn around and do that same stupid thing on Wednesdays. You didn't learn, Pat. You didn't learn. It was only, so.
Well, next week you get a chance to take another shot at Lot.
No, not gonna.
I think you had to change your heart on that.
Yeah.
I definitely had to change your heart about love.
Well, we're going to see for now. It's interesting that you bring that up. Whereas Abram, he seems to always come out landing on his feet. Lot, on the other hand, he's going to have to be rescued by Uncle Abram.
Has to go with saving.
Yeah, and then though, to your point, he's going to go back. He's going to go back to the city, like Pilgrim's Progress, because it's not going to be. Remember, he's going to eventually. The angels have to come. First, Abram rescues him, then he goes back, and then the angels got to basically, yeah.
Which is quite interesting. That I can't wait till we get there. It's quite interesting. Angels coming to save him. He's in a city, but nothing but sin.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So that's in your environment. You become what your environment.
Yeah.
And I think Lot was a sinful person in that the promise God made to Abram blessed Lot in that situation.
Yeah, I think
if
so.
If Lot's dad
Yeah.
was still alive,
Yeah.
I think Lot would be underneath some sulfur balls.
I think that's a good point you bring in, the idea of the family and the way that you were under the family protection. Now, what's interesting is it's so clear that is exactly what you get when you read Genesis. So it always throws people off, including scholars, like, why does Peter in 2 Peter refer to Lot as righteous Lot? Righteous Lot whose soul was tormented by all the stuff he was seeing. Why did you get out of there then, bro? But anyway,
I just don't see how Lot is righteous.
Yeah.
Especially
he's definitely portrayed in here as a man of sight. You know, remember we talked about, you have Abram, Lot, then you have Isaac, Ishmael, right? And then you got Jacob, Esau. Clearly, the Genesis kind of putting the two, kind of, right? And so Lot is the man of sight. He sees that beautiful, lush, area down there, well-watered area, but Sodom and Gomorrah. All right, it's a little bit like Las Vegas, but we're okay. I'll stay away from it. And he goes and lives down there, and
he was attracted to all the lights.
Yeah, there's the idea of city, right?
Yes,
Well,
city lights.
There's a lot of people that are.
And so city, like, remember Cain being the first city builder. It's interesting because you see the city's kind of that Babylon city, the great city, the whore city in Revelation, and then at the very end, the New Jerusalem city. And the New Jerusalem is who? Oh, you guys get this, and we're all getting all expenses paid trip to Tennessee. The New Jerusalem in chapter 21 is
Genesis?
of Revelation. Who is the New Jerusalem?
Hold on, don't rush us.
Da-da.
I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna edit this part of this.
Oh yeah.
So, hold on, come on. The New Jerusalem. New Jerusalem is when God comes back and builds the building in Jerusalem. It would be the New Jerusalem.
Well, we see the New Jerusalem portrayed like in 21 and 22, but it comes down out of heaven
It lands in
That sounds
Jerusalem.
like Jesus.
to dwell. The New Jerusalem is the church. Whoa.
Church.
Hebrews 12. Read Hebrews 12.
I wish I'd take your Revelations thing. I regret that.
Well, you know what? We'll go. Well, anyway, that book still fascinates me.
Well, if we ever did, I hope.
I have new ways of looking at it now. Probably get me in trouble, but anyway, because I'm trying to find something that, like I tell you, I just look at it. Something ain't right, and anyway, but it's
Do some more studying. We'll do it.
yes.
I would actually love to do. You just warned me of it.
Well, yeah. Well, you know what, bro? All these books, you got to take runs at them over and over. And the more older you get, the wiser you get. You see things with fresh eyes, right? That's why anybody gonna say, I know I've read through the Bible. Well, you never gonna come to.
It's like a super, super good funny movie.
Yeah.
Like Waterboy.
Yeah.
Bad example. But every time I watch, I catch something. I didn't see that.
Didn't see that. Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
But when you read it, in the Bible, you become closer believe that's how part of
Yes.
the building of your relationship with Jesus is understanding His. Be clear of the word, right?
Yeah, and I got the reason I brought the New Jerusalem was because here again, cities are in the Bible they seem to be not good. In other words, but yet though we see that God knows my city, you just got the wrong city. Kings aren't bad. You got the wrong king. Right, king, right? And you just see these like you see all these things going through the Bible, but they're hard to spot until you because the picture would be like watching Waterboy, where it's like a 15-hour movie.
Right.
It's too long to get it all in. You need, yeah, you got to go through it a ton of times before. Oh, okay, because when you're reading the Bible, by the time you're in Psalms, you've already forgot Genesis, right?
Oh, so
And so
Actually, yeah.
you need to see it so many times that when you read, oh, I remember that back in Genesis when I read it like a year ago. You know what I'm saying? And you can't do that until you've read it a ton of times.
So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, I started reading through the Bible in 2014, and I have not missed a year, and I will not miss a year. That's why I'm in the Book of Psalms and in First Corinthians right now, because Old Testament, New Testament, and it's the daily bread that gives you daily readings to read through in a year. And I've done that now, as I said, since 2014. I made a commitment, it was in April of 2014, that we had to pick something that we would be willing to commit to. And I said, I'm going to commit to reading through the Bible every year.
That's beautiful.
And I had to go back in Genesis and start reading and try to catch up. Well, not try to, I did catch up to be able to continue reading through starting in April. And I'm not sorry because that's why, oh, I remember reading that. Yeah, I just read that. Well, the Lord said to my Lord. So I'm
That's
at
so cool. Isn't it neat when your brain connects things?
Yes. Yeah.
On your own.
Yeah. Yeah. Make you feel. Yeah. You
You
feel like a God thing. Like yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Okay, I see it.
Well, I think that is like, and of course, this is true. I think of all life and everything, right? Is learn to identify patterns, right?
Yes.
We talk with your kid like one pattern. See this kid here? He's like all the other kids when they skip school. Next pattern, they then want to go to their friend's house. They start drinking and smoking, and then eventually they wind up over here in jail. Happens every time of it. See, and so patterns, spotting and the Bible, the intricate patterns here. You see the pattern. You see what's going on here. You see it in life. You see it everywhere. Because once you identify the patterns, the key is to be one step ahead. So don't start here, and you won't wind up over here, right?